offense left a lot of points out there today. In your opinion, was that ultimately the difference in this game, and why was the red zone such an issue today?
We needed to make the issue is we needed to make one more play than they did, and they made a play there at the end, and we didn't make a play. But it's been seems like that's been the theme with us offensively is we're just leaving points on the field. There was several trips to the red zone. It's why you always tell them like Lavelle, he's trying hard, but man, find a way to keep your feet, score a touchdown. Miss, the ball got on you quick, man. Find a way to make the touchdown. Mike, get the ball in the end zone because we knew coming into this game and I challenged the guys offensively. That defensive line that Miami has is pretty good. They're pretty stout. They've played a lot of football. They're experienced. I knew that it was going to be a challenge to run the football, and we were going to have to do a good job to be able to protect. But there were some plays there. We got to make it. Opening, I think maybe the second play, second play, we got Wicks open. We got to make those plays. And the guys continue to strain. They continue to fight. I thought that overall the team made progress. You look at 2 weeks ago versus Louisville. We were trying to give the game away early. Then we come back, we battle through adversity, and then now we're in a 4-quarter game, 4 overtime game, all the way down to the end. So definitely not the outcome that we wanted, and the guys are going to be sick when they watch those 4 or 5, maybe 6 plays that would have made a big difference in the game that we didn't make.
How often do you guys practice the overtime scenarios and going deep in overtime with the 2-point stuff? And what did you think of how the team handled it overall?
So that was a tough situation there because you don't know if you're going to go first, you don't know if you're going to go second. You're kind of seeing if you need a touchdown. We knew that our kicking situation we couldn't lose any yards, but at the same time too we don't want to end the game by putting the ball in the air. In some of those overtime situations, in some of those earlier overtime situations. And 2-point, you work on it on Mondays, you work on it on Thursdays, and then there's going to be some time on Wednesday when you work all your red zone stuff to be able to, have a plan for your overtime. And you carry probably, 6 or so, maybe 7 plays that you feel good about in the low red. So it's not just 2-point, but it's 3rd and 3 from the 3. It's 3rd and 4 from the 4. So you're going to practice those plays all throughout the course of the week.
Tony, obviously there's tons of football after this play, but when Brennan overshoots Dontavian on your first offensive play, do you have a pit in your stomach thinking, oh, here we go again? Does it set a tone?
No, and what I ran over to Wicks and what I told BA is, man, sometimes you just got to send a message. And that was something that we challenged these guys. Miami's corners are as good as we're going to play. Tyreek Stevenson is good. Ivy they're long. They're going to jam you. And we knew that the receivers were going to have to play well versus man coverage for us to have a chance to win. And so, no, not here we go. It's like, hey, that's early in the game. You're trying to get everything fine-tuned. I was just, happy to see that we won and we were inside. So it encouraged me that, okay, all right, Tay's ready to go. We beat man coverage. We're ready to go. BA, you're juiced up, overthrew it. All right, move on to the next play. So no, I wasn't like, here we go. I was like, okay, we're sending a message to these guys that we're ready to play.
This second game in a row where the defense has been lights out for the most part. What's been the key to that group's development?
Right. I think as I've said, the influx of the guys on the D-line has just brought competition. And so competition and camaraderie. So when we go to the movie the night before, I see Chico, I see Cam Butler, I see Paul Akiri all sitting together. Those guys right there. And if they're sitting together and they're having fun, they're joking, and they're competing on the field, then you got a chance to have great chemistry. And then it flows over to the linebacker spot. And then you're seeing that the safeties, are becoming more confident, and then our corners are doing a good job of covering on the back end. So, they are found a way to stay hungry amidst the success. So they're doing a good job of handling the success. We just I gotta do a better job of getting the offense and the special teams to play more complementary football. And I think if we can get that done, then what you're going to see is you're going to see a different outcome on the score and on the scoreboard. And these guys in the locker room are going to see what they're truly capable of.
Was there any thought to go back to Hollins? He had the long catch,
yep.
And then did not touch the ball the rest of the game. Was there any thought to go back to him?
Yeah, so he's been a third down back for us, and he's a guy that we've been challenging. He came off a protocol. Wasn't available last week. Got back into practice this week. He's had some of his challenges holding on to the football, so he's got to earn his trust there. But in the game, we were talking about trying to get the back out, and one of those overtime plays. We were trying to wheel it back out, and they covered it. So there was definitely conversation to come back, but we were just trying to scrap and fight and see could we. And, it's tough, and I know everybody's going to get on Dez, and I've been a play caller. But when you're early in the game and you call the inside zone and you're supposed to have double teams and you get split and you have a guy in your backfield tackling your back for a 3-yard loss, man, you're as a coach, you're trying to figure out, okay, what do I need to do? And then when you see that more times throughout the course of the game, then it alters the thought process. And so we're all trying to figure out how we can generate a play, and it's hard to be perfect. And at the end of the day, you get them in position, and we just got to build their confidence. And the same thing I went over to Lavelle after he drops that touchdown, man. I picked his chin up and said, man, get your head up. All right, you drop that one, it's all about the next one. That's competitive stamina, right? And where we got to grow, just especially offensively, is, okay, we have a bad play, so what? Miami's going to make a play. You're going to have a bad play. It's about the next play, right? And I saw more of that, throughout the course of the game. Over the last 2 weeks, I've seen more of that, which encourages me, but still disappointed that, man, we had about 4 opportunities to really, really kind of separate in the game, and we didn't do it.
Tony, not excessive penalties today, but how disappointing is it on your first 2-point conversion there, where you're 3 yards away from winning the game?
3 yards away from winning the game, and we got a call. We got motion because, again, you're down there on the 3-yard line. You're trying to tip zone. You're trying to tip man. You're trying to give the quarterback, a key, and we have a snap infraction. And then so now you're 3rd and 8, and so, man, 3rd and 8 from the 8, man, that's a tough call. 3rd and 3, it's at least if you have a play that breaks down, your quarterback can make you right. You know what I'm saying? He has a chance to scramble, he has a chance to go get it, but to expect your quarterback on a play that breaks down to go scramble and get 8 yards for a touchdown, it's a tough situation.
You mentioned that scrambling. Brennan ran more
Yep.
again today.
Yep.
Again, what is that bringing to your offense? And was he limited at all after the ankle injury?
No, he wasn't. He wasn't limited, and some of that early on was design quarterback run. So just trying to incorporate some more quarterback run into some of our base plays, knowing that we're not going to be able to sit back there versus pass rush. They were 8th in the country in sacks for a reason. And they're really, really deep, and they can get to you. They can push the pocket interior-wise. They can set the depth of the pocket, and then they're athletic enough to spin on you. So we knew that we were going to have to use the quarterback to be able to get us out of some jams, but then also let's have some design coverage because it's man coverage on the back end, right? So if we can get those guys to run out, we got a lead blocker in the running back. We have a chance to go hat for hat and make them be honest. So definitely coming in, the plan was not to run him a ton, but to let his legs be a weapon and just be a number neutralizer, right? To even the numbers count by being a guy they got to account for in the run game.
Tony, I don't know what the locker room looked like, but on the field there was more noticeable frustration than maybe any other game this year. Just how do you regroup these guys, knowing you still have 4 more to go out there for?
Noticeable frustration in
Throwing helmets.
I didn't see that. When did that happen? I'm glad you told me that. No. That's the one that I didn't see that. And then I'm going to challenge my staff to find out because we're not going to do that. I don't care what your frustration is. And so we're talking about having a winning mindset. A winner, he reacts the same way, whether he has success or he has failure, right? And that's where we got to get better as a football team, right? Because in that moment that you lose your cool, you lose your focus, right? And then now that says that you were more important than the football team. And so, I mean, I know you may have saw it. I didn't see it. But I'm going to make sure that I get it addressed. Now, what I will say in that locker room, what I'm starting to see like more guys that it really hurts to lose. Like my stomach I'm sick. My stomach is literally knotted, right, because we didn't win the football game. But I also understand, too, that, I got to move on. I got to move forward. I got to react the same way. So I didn't see as much frustration. I actually saw guys throughout the course of the game being more positive. It may have been there at the end of the game where guys got frustrated because we lost, but we're still not going to handle it that way. We're going to win with class. We're going to lose with class. That's how I was trained. That's how I was raised. That's what I believe in, and that's what we're going to stand for as a program.
Will Bettridge had a rough game at Atlanta. He came back, scored all your points today,
That's right.
4 for 4. Did the competition open up during the week at practice, or was he your guy?
Nah, he was the guy. Obviously, Brandon's had some tough days, and there's never been a discussion. He's our guy. So when we made the change to go with Bettridge, we wanted him to be the guy with field goals, and we wanted Farrell to focus on putting the ball in the end zone on our kickoff team.
Coach,
can't recall the third down conversion rate from the Georgia Tech game or Louisville, but
Like 2 for 14,
yeah,
something
so
like that.
today is 5 of 17.
5 of 16 or 17.
Yeah. The
Better.
question I wonder is, how can you get this car out of gear and back in the right gear so that when you
Yeah.
get past midfield, you can move it on in?
Yeah, quit shooting ourselves in the foot. You know, we have a big play and then we have a penalty, right? We have a false start or we have a sack, and now you're trying to go 3rd and 15, right? When you start looking at 3rd and 11 plus, you're talking about maybe a 25 to 30% conversion rate, and we actually converted some of those. So we just got to do our job consistently on base downs, right? Just do your job: throw, catch, block, run, so that we can stay ahead of the chains. And then now, when you stay ahead of the chains, you change the momentum in the game, right? So if you watch Miami early on, they weren't running the football, right? But then they changed the momentum running the football, and they stuck with it, right? So then now you have a little bit more confidence on 3rd and 1 to run the football, right? You have a little more confidence on 3rd and 2 to run the football. When you're not running the football and you're not staying ahead of the chains, right, you're putting yourself in long yardage situations more times than not. And, you know, the 3rd and 1, and Des will tell you, they had us outnumbered, right? Could have burned a timeout there to get us out of that situation. They had us outnumbered, you know, down here in the low red, on this side for the 3rd and 1 where we had to kick the field goal. But we'll just say we're gonna go back to work. You know, we got to get some consistency up front. You know, we're playing a lot of guys. You know, we got to get some guys back. We got to get Boley back. We got to get JP back healthy so that we can get some consistency up front, so that we can create that chemistry. Because again, you know, I'm gonna challenge those guys and they know it, but I also know too when things are moving up front and they're stemming and they're angling, right? It takes cohesion and chemistry with the guy next to you to be able to work those twists, to work those stunts, to catch that movement.
Last 2 questions, David, and then Doug.
Tony, you mentioned how good Miami's corners are, but both Johnson and Fentrell had multiple pass breakups today. How would you evaluate?
Yeah, I think
how
they
you
had
guys
6, we had
defended?
7. Yeah, and Fentrell's been playing really quietly, very well. You know, AJ is playing well. There's a couple things you want to see AJ do better. I thought on that one out route, he had his eyes in the backfield too long. You know, there was a cover 2 where he didn't jam. But man, they're taking pride in what they're doing. You know, the philosophy, they're not getting to be up in your face as much. You know, we play more of a soft zone, soft man kind of technique, which allows for the easy access throws, but it puts us in position not to give up the big play. So I think the guys are becoming more comfortable and more confident as every week goes by. And again, it's just that the success that they're having is breeding confidence, and you notice those guys are having a lot of fun. You know, I got to get the guys on offense to have fun, and the fun is in playing, right? The fun is in playing. The fun is in the opportunity. The fun's not in statistics. The fun is in just the opportunity to get out there and play. And I think what you see is the defense is ahead in the transition of being, you know, a little bit more excited. Where offensively, it's like, okay, let somebody else go make a play, and then I'll get excited to play. No, we got to have the right mindset every time we step on the field, and I got to do a better job as the head coach with that on offense and on special teams.
Had you ever been involved in a 4 overtime game, or had you given thought to a 4 overtime or more game?
You know, I don't recall being in a 4 overtime game. I think that the format changes some things, because in the first overtime you can kick the extra point. In the second overtime you got to go for 2, and then from there on out it's all 2-point plays. You know, so the biggest adjustment there is just making sure that you have, as I said, those 3rd and 3 calls, and then also those 2-point plays ready to go. And again, nobody's anticipating. I was thinking, you know, late in the 4th quarter, man, we're up by 3. We're going to get a stop, and then we're going to have a chance to go score. You know, and then once it got close, you start planning for overtime. But you always have those thoughts in the back of your mind.
Okay, thanks, everyone.